Hey, it's Chris here today from Huckabones Equipment. As you'll see behind me, we have the brand new LX4020. So we're going to be bringing you an overview today. So we're going to start at the front and work our way to the back, giving you all the pros and cons of the brand new unit. Whenever you start out front here, we have the brand new loader, the LA545. And at the very front, you can always start with your bucket. So you either have a 54 or 60. What we're really hoping to see very shortly is that 60 inches will start coming with pre-drilled holes there for a cutting edge. As you can see, currently not available here yet, but well on their way. Most people, again, go with the 60 inch, and now with 40 horsepower, and again, it is skid steer quick attach, you could go up to a 66 or 72 if you really wished. Whenever you get up to the L3560, it comes standard with a 72, or even the LO1 series, you're going to see a 66, and actually have less horsepower than what this unit has. So you could oversize your front bucket if you wish. Most people do not want to go undersized on the front bucket at the 54 inch. So standard you're normally going to see on the front is that 60 inch, but lots of options there depending on what you want to do or see. So most people do want to know is what your lift capacity is. Whenever these originally were released, or kind of, well, not even released, just kind of talking about them, they talked about a lift capacity of over 1,500 pounds. They have settled down around 1,400. So just be mindful that lift capacity hasn't gone up a whole lot over what you saw in the 10 series, so just a few extra pounds there. But what has increased quite a bit is your lift height. You are now at 88 inches, which is about a 4-inch increase on that. So quite a bit. Whenever you're dealing with only 88s, you start doing the math on that, you're like 5-6% increase. And then also with that extra height comes a better dump angle. So you're down from 36 degrees down to 32. You're like, well, that's not a big deal. These all make incremental differences whenever you're dumping into, let's say, a dump trailer or anything like that, where it all helps whenever you can either dump your bucket more and get that little bit more height. So it's all what you need to see whenever you're releasing a new unit. You want to see some bigger and better increases. Well, they've improved upon that. So one thing you will see is a wider stance on that boom. So whenever you get wider, it also improves your sight lines from the cab out to the front, lets you see better, lets you feel better on that. So one thing Kubota was dealing with was a little bit of a twisting on the LA535, so a little bit smaller loader on like the LX4020. If you started prying on one side constantly, you might see a little bit of issue there with some twisting. So this has been really reinforced. If you look along the sides there, you'll see some extra structure there to really increase the capabilities of that loader, so you don't have to deal with any issues on that. So wider boom, better sight lines, lots more reinforcement there. New loader, there is a brush guard available for it. Again, haven't seen them yet, but they are on order, and hopefully sometime in the next 3 to 6 months we see them on the ground here in Canada. But that new black brush guard will be available. And then the same idea, you can still get the optional swift attach for it, so you can take your loader off from basically a couple levers there, make it nice and quick to get off, as well as you can get self-leveling for these. You can get self-leveling for these loaders. So kind of a nice brand new loader with quite a few different upgrades there. So let's jump to it and talk about the engine and this front axle. Whenever we move a little bit farther back, you start talking about the engine and front axle. So in the new LX lineup, the 20 series, you're going to have either a 26 horsepower, 35 or 40 horsepower. And again, the 35 and the 40 have the new engine. It's a 4-cylinder turbocharged diesel. What you're going to be seeing in the market is the 40 horsepower is going to be kind of a niche one, where if you require the horsepower, it's what you're going to be buying. The 26 is still going to be the most popular unit out there, and the 3520 is probably going to be a little bit of a dog, as if you're going to be looking for more horsepower, you're probably going to jump right to the 40. It's going to be more come down to a budget conscious person to be buying the 3520, but it is up to the person kind of idea and what budget you do have, as these units are getting up there in money. So whenever you start dealing with the LX4020, that brand new engine there, it is 40 horsepower under that hood. It's going to give you lots of options of what you want to do, whether it's with the loader to oversize stuff or in the 3-point hitch to oversize some implements. 40 horsepower gives you all sorts of power if you're going to be blowing snow. That's what the biggest part of our market is. That's where we sell a lot of the 33 horsepowers in the last 5-10 years, is for blowing snow with a front snowblower. What are you going to get with the 40 horse? So you get 40 horsepower on the engine. That means 33 on the PTO. So pretty good transfer there. And that gives you more horsepower than what you were going to see on the PTO than what you see in the LO1 series, more horsepower on the PTO than what you're going to see on the L3901 or on an Grand L, the L3560, more PTO horsepower on this unit here. So whenever you get down to it, is this front axle has been extended too. So it is about 4 inches wider than what you saw on the 10 series. So why do I want that? What's the point of that? Is it just gives you more stability. We used to have, and still do get a few complaints that they felt tippy. Again, having small tractors with high center of gravity with that cab on there, it is something that you could feel. And I've been there too. Whenever you start lifting some heavy stuff, no matter with loaded tires and an implement on the back, you can run into some issues where you may want to check your pants after. It comes up. So this should help with that, and that's why they've done it. New model, redesign, you want to see some new benefits. Well, that's one of them, is with that newer front axle, which also let them extend the boom out wider to give you more stability all around on that. So after that conversation, let's jump back now to talking about the cab here and all the new features inside there. So whenever we move a little bit farther back, we start talking about this cab here. Lots of new special features in there, pretty exciting. But the first thing I want to point out, and I pointed out months ago whenever they first had the demo models here, it feels different, looks different in there. I can't really explain it. I'm around Kubotas all the time. It doesn't look or feel like a Kubota cab in there, and that's what jumps out at me. Whether it's the biggest thing that jumps out is it's black in here, it's not gray. Pretty minor, it is minor, it just looks and feels different, and it's extremely minor. It's just something I want to point out. I don't know why. It just I guess it bothers me. But getting past all that is what's all new in here, and there is a ton to go over. New levers, there's new grip handles. Again, they're ergonomic, they're big, they're strong, they're awesome, they're easy to grab, and everything's where you want it to be. What is all new on there? We got the new RPM lock. Kubota calls this the dual engine memory switch, which basically lets you, you see it in like the M6s and stuff. It basically lets you set your RPMs for what you want. So I think they're labeled A and B there. So let's say you have a couple different implements like a snowblower and a rotary cutter. You can set it there to lock it in to what you want. So you can just hit that, lock it in kind of idea, and next time you're in with that implement, you can just hit that button and it'll go back to what you want. It's a pretty awesome feature, works awesome. You may not use it a whole lot depending on how many implements you have, but it is there. It can make your life easier if you want to use it. And it's a great way to easily adjust your RPMs, and it saves you having to move the hand throttle up and down is what they're looking to do. Speaking of RPMs and talking about this unit, is your top speed now is increased. I kind of forgot to mention that when we were talking about a few other things, but your top speed now is 27 kilometers an hour, so just be mindful of that. You're up about 10% over the old units. Very important whenever you start talking about commercial snowblowing. Everybody's always looking for speed. And whenever you start talking about speed and snowblowing, one thing that was always very popular in our Grand L lineup was the auto throttle. It gets used a lot for lots of different things. We do now have it on the LX lineup. It's nice and easy to set. Originally, whenever they came out with it here, I couldn't even figure out how to set it. They did make a few less steps on it. It made it easy to adjust and set was that auto throttle. So use it, enjoy it, you'll love it. It's there for you. One other thing, and it also bothers me, and if you've watched any of my other videos, is it now comes standard with LED headlights. It's the way it should be. So you have LED front and rear work lights, front headlights. So just be mindful of that you're going to see everything whenever you need to. They also talk about a wider operator's platform in there. I didn't really notice that. They may say it's 2 or 3 inches. I still find it a little bit difficult to get in and out if you don't put your steering wheel up there with the tilt steering. So again, everything will say wider. I didn't really notice all that. One neat thing that they have incorporated into this that they brought down from some of the other bigger tractors is a water separator sensor. Again, it just helps, especially in this cold weather. Once it gets some water in there, it's going to set a sensor up to empty that so you don't have to deal with freezing. Pretty important up here in Canada. And after that is we have a brand new HST pedal. They made it heavier. And you're like, well, what does heavier do? Well, it helps with the vibration stuff. One thing you always dealt with in the LX lineup, and before that was the B50 series, and before that was the B30 series, you had feedback through that pedal. It was kind of annoying, especially in high. Whenever you're going down the road or something, you would feel it trying to push back on you. And now they've pretty much eliminated all that. Just some neat upgrades there, so you'll really notice that there is not a whole lot of feedback that you're going to deal with on that pedal. So lots of special upgrades, pretty awesome cab. So Whenever you're at your local dealership, make sure to check that part out. Now let's jump to the back and let's look at that 3-point hitch. Okay, so whenever we jump to the back here, again, you'll see some nice premium upgrades here. Again, as mentioned before, and it was the same on the 10 series, as we have the work lights are all LED. One new feature that's really for the dealer is whenever you're putting 1 or 2 sets of remotes here, they're going to be easily mounted on here. That's more for the dealer end. Before it was a little bit, it really speeds up the process on our end, so makes it a little bit less money for the customer for install time. Move a little bit farther down and we see an out-of-place 3-point hitch. It doesn't look like anything else you're going to see in the Kubota lineup. It just doesn't seem to fit a premium model. When you look at it, it just doesn't seem like it belongs. And what I'm getting at is you'll see this bar down below here where those arms are usually connected right up into the frame, and you'll see like the adjuster here isn't a turnbuckle style like the premium turnbuckle you'll see on the 10 series, and you'll see some adjustments here that normally aren't there. It's kind of either is not needed or it's just not something you're not going to see on a very deluxe tractor like this. If you go up to like the 3560, it's a much more deluxe 3-point hitch. And whenever Kubota delivers all this horsepower, they want you to oversize your implements. And hopefully this 3-point hitch over time is able to perform on that, because whenever you get bigger, more heavier implements on the back, you want to make sure that, well, they stay attached. And it's hard to know whenever something is new like this, whether it's going to do that, but time will tell on that. So in the end, basically it is a 3-point hitch that doesn't seem to be, seems to be lacking whenever it comes up against other premium tractors in this lineup. So that's kind of the end of a discussion on that. It's not for everybody. Again, in the LX lineup, most people will be looking at that the 26 horsepower. But if you're looking to enjoy some bigger implements, this will be the unit for you. It is a nice new tractor with lots of upgrades and stuff that you won't see in the rest of the Kubota lineup. So if you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe. And if you have any comments, please down below. Thank you.